right, welcome everybody to our latest MX Vice SMX Review Show podcast as we talk all things Birmingham from what was a wild weekend of action. Obviously, firstly, thank you to everyone for listening and supporting the site. We really appreciate it. We'd also like to thank our sponsors in Fly Racing, Fox, Scott, Whole Shot Motorhomes, AS3 Performance, KTM UK, Kawasaki UK, and of course, Even Strokes for all their incredible support. As without them, none of this would be possible. All right, for this episode, we have a couple of special guests on the line. First, we've got Jeff Crutcher, owner of CREO KTM. How's life, and thanks for joining us, mate?
Dude, hey, super pumped to be here. Like I said, this is huge for me to get to be on MX Vice. So yeah, just excited.
No worries, mate. Great to have you on. Obviously, we've got Jeff Beaver, Whiskey Throttle editor at large as well, as usual. How are you, mate?
Hey, I'm good, man. Didn't get to go to the race. Stuck up here at this dang refinery. It's getting in the way of my motocross addiction, but I'm doing good, bud. Doing good. Ready to talk some shop.
Awesome, mate. Great to have you on board. We've also got MX Vice tester Brad Wheeler. How's life? And thanks for joining us, mate. The weather in England hasn't been kind to you today, has it?
Yeah, no, we're back on. We were probably going to miss this one because we're supposed to be racing today and doing a bit of testing. But yeah, as English weather is, it pissed down all night and the field was flooded, and yeah, the whole thing got cancelled about 7:30 this morning. So that was ideal. But yeah, it does mean I can jump on, manage to watch the races. So yeah, Blue Crew YZ450 gets another weekend in the warm in the garage, unfortunately.
Oh, hopefully it turns around soon, mate, and it gets better for you. But yeah, great to have you all on to have a chat about Birmingham. It was certainly a brutal one. So, Jeff, obviously you're running the team there. You got Talvico and Gibbs were out there. Obviously not the weekend you wanted, but awesome to be out there. And just what was your perspective on the track, the fans, and just how your team endured the weekend as well as yourself?
Well, shoot, dude, let me start by saying it is the weekend we wanted. I'm all about walking before we run. And the team has been in existence for 4 years now, and this is our second season of Supercross. This year, the the progress that we've made it's so massive, but we're taking very measured, very incremental steps every single weekend and seeing a return on, how do I say this? It's we're returning better every weekend than we were the last. Jorgen, I'll start with him. First Supercross ever in Dallas, got 22nd in the LCQ. Then last week in Daytona, he was 14th. This weekend in Birmingham, he was 6th. So every time he's on the track, he's taking 6 to 7 positions off of what he was the previous weekend. And to have that rate, that steep trajectory of improvement every week, dude, it's massive. And it's like, okay, we are right on track with exactly where I want these guys to be and the speed at which I want them to progress. What I don't want is too much too soon to try to put pressure on them and be like, I know you're talented enough. You need to get your ass out there and make that main event. That's not my style of management, because you start to lose quality control like that. And I'm all about measured little steps to develop quality results over a long period of time. I've taken that's my whole mindset with my whole organization. So it is the weekend that we wanted. And so now we're on track, and Ed, in my last email that you read, I wrote how if we continue this trajectory, that has us either making the main in Indy straight out of the heat race or first place in the LCQ. So that's where we're right on track with that. Then with Tyler, he's now got with my team, his second night show in the bag. And, his thing, dude, he's just going to have to work on being aggressive, getting out of the gate. Tyler's going to have to want to be in that first corner, taking position from other riders. That's up here. And that's something that I can't fix. But we've got the motorcycle, we've got the infrastructure, we've got the partners, we've got everything that we need, all the logistics that are there. Now it's time for him to do what he needs to do. And the thing is like the team's going up, okay? And it's great. And it's going to be Tyler's choice whether or not he's going to continue going up with the team. And the only way he's going to be able to do that is progressing coming out of the gate, because the kid's capable. I mean, he's more than capable. He's shit at times qualifying. He always has been his whole career as a professional racer. He's never been good at time qualifying. He's a racer, not a practicer. So, for us to qualify 34th with him, okay, we're in. That's all we need is for him to be in. And then with Dawson, with my third guy, I mean, Dawson's whole thing is he's a development rider. We're trying. Dawson's never really done professional racing, so this is a new undertaking for him. So yeah, we're just trying to get him used to professional racing. So, and I mean, he's been top 50 both weekends in a row, which is right on par. He's 47th and 48th in time qualifying against, almost 80 guys. So we're all three guys are right in their brackets they need to be in. And as long as they continue to maintain progress in a linear fashion, then, everything's coming to fruition, and I'm thrilled.
Awesome, mate. It sounds like a really cool program you've got, and you've got a really cool framework and a platform for these guys to succeed. And obviously on to you, Beaver. How's the weekend from you, mate? Obviously we'll start with Jet Lawrence. How good was he? Another masterclass, another sort of flex of the muscles for him. He just sets himself up with the starts and he gets comfortable. And I guess you got to look that he's still a rookie, but he's not like any rookie, isn't he? He just kind of makes it look easy and maintains and manages the race. And he had that extra bit of focus. He didn't let himself get drawn away into any of those mistakes. So your thoughts on that? And then Brad, you can have a sort of chat on your thoughts as well.
I think Jet's done effing around. After all the fans kind of gave him the business, and loosey-goosey kind of crap, I think he's had enough of it. And I think he's had enough of the jaw jacking. And, he said, I'm all business. And it's kind of what you've seen. And I remember a while back, I kind of talk about if we pissed him off, that's kind of scary. And I think I almost think everybody kind of pissed him off because he's got a little bit of a wall up. He's just going to be in a defensive mode. And all right, you guys want business, I'll give you business. And I think that's what we're seeing, because he was just, dude, he was on it so hard. And I don't know, beast mode, any of that is really going to mess with it. I mean, I posted a pic, I don't know if you saw it today, of Coop on the podium. And he just looks so frustrated, but if anybody can figure it out, it's him. And I mean, God bless Coop for stuffing it in there. He ate it doing it, but I was like, yeah, run it in on him. I mean, don't want to see him get hurt, but I want to see some 90s racing. And Coop went for it, and that's good, clean racing. There should be contact. It wasn't like a T-bone where he put his tire into his leg and tried to end his season. That was good racing, but, he's absolutely frustrated, and I think everybody else is, and I think Jet's going to do that to the rest of the field. I mean, I think the guard has changed. I mean, I'll just say it. I think the guard's changed. That's that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen it a couple of years ago in the 250 class when Red Bud his motor gave out in the first race at Red Bud, and he DNF, and there was a little clip going around of him in the pit saying, like, I'm going to win the rest of the motos. And he pretty much may as well have done. I mean, he's just like that good. He's just on that other level. He's able to wick it up when he needs to, but he's sensible enough to know that he doesn't need to run that pace for the full 20 minutes. He knows he can get a gap, maintain, and do what he needs to do. He's obviously figured out a way to iron out those little mistakes that have cost him the wins earlier on in the season, and now I think more often than not you're going to see him pull a 4 or 5 second lead and just sit there with it. I mean, if you can hold a 4 or 5 second lead over Cooper Webb for the entire main event, and everyone knows like those last 5 minutes plus lap, that's when Coop sort of really turns it on if he's got you in his sight, and he couldn't do anything with it. He was just sat there, couldn't catch him. He got it down to about 3 seconds, whether it was Jet got held out of lappers or there was a little mistake or Coop whipped it up. But within a lap, it was back out to 4 or 5 seconds. And there was just nothing anyone could do about it. In the heat race, he methodically worked his way through, was right on Tomac at the end. I mean, credit to Webb. He tried to run it in on him, and I think that's the only way you're going to beat him, is you're going to have to rattle him. You're going to have to get in there, throw some elbows, and really throw him off his game. But he's just so dialed in at the moment. Yeah, it's frightening to watch a rookie just be this dialed in this early on. I mean, you see rookies win. I mean, what, McGrath and Dungey, the only two to win it in their first year, and I mean Dungey just obviously was just a rock the whole year, just solid. Just made his career off that. Whereas Jet is the best guy, and you can't argue it. I mean, yeah, no one seems to have anything for him unless it's just absolutely bucketing it down with rain. It's the only time he's got seems to have a little chink in his armor. So yeah, I think it's going to be a long sort of 7 or 8 years for the for the rest of the field.
Yeah, great insight, mate. Well said. And obviously, on to you, Jeff Crutcher. Obviously, Jet now has an average finish of 3.33, which these stats were sent through by Paul Piercy, who does a great job. And it's kind of ominous. He's now led 50% of the main event laps total this year, 104 out of 280. Clocked the fastest lap time, most consistent lap time, the least difference between fastest and slowest, and had the best average lap time. So, from your perspective, being there, what was the sort of key takeaways for Jet's success on the weekend?
In all honesty, I never got to see him ride. I was so focused on my stuff. I take that back. I was up there for a little bit in the heat races. I did get to go up and watch the 450 heat races. The wild thing is whenever Jet is catching the other riders, it doesn't look like he's catching them. It like whenever Eli's catching somebody, he goes on these, like the other Jeff said, beast mode, and he does this like stuff where he's just wrangling the motorcycle, whereas Jet, he starts to get in these grooves. Now I would say there's been a time where we've seen Chase do the same thing, we've seen Kenny do the same thing also, but I think that Jet's doing it on a whole other level than what we've seen before. And I know that we after he won his first one, and people were saying, okay, 71 to go. And there is a lot of that. There's a lot of that preconceived notion that Jet will be the next McGrath and I think so much of that is because of how welcomed by most Jet is in the sport and how many people are talking about how good he is for the sport. I think that there's a lot of pressure there. There's also the similarity of being on Honda. But as long as he focuses one race at a time and doesn't get caught up in trying to break records or, even winning championships. And yeah, I mean, his motor races have not been great, but everything else, I mean, would you say 50% of laps have been led? It's pretty undeniable. And I'm not one of those guys that has a favorite rider, and I'm not one of those guys that has, I don't go around disliking riders. I don't have a dog in the fight. I want to watch the best in the world do amazing things that I can't do on a motorcycle, and I want to see good racing. And so far, we've seen a lot of that. I didn't get to watch the 450 main because I was breaking down our pit. I heard it wasn't a very good race. Can you guys comment to that? I'll set you up there.
Well, Jack just kind of took off, and it was kind of a bit of a snooze fest. I mean, yeah, the action's definitely in the 250 class, but yeah, I mean, I think Jet's running away with it, and Cooper got in there pretty good. I think probably the most exciting thing was Roxon. He just kind of blasted his way through, and then it was cool to see Cooper up there in third for a while. I think he dropped back to fifth, but I think that was kind of a quiet breakthrough ride for Justin Cooper. He definitely showed some skills this weekend that he didn't have. Tomac kind of, I don't know, hey, the guy's the second greatest Supercross rider of all time in my mind. I mean, his results prove it, but every dog has their day, and maybe we're seeing it, and I don't think there's anything to bag on him about if he doesn't get back and win again. I was listening to Main Event Moto this morning, and they said there's no guarantee that he'll ever get number 52, and that's true, because when McGrath got his last win, you couldn't have got anybody to say that he'll never win another Supercross again. And then Ricky went on a tear. Well, look what we're doing again, And I just think, like I said, I think the guards changed, so I think the racing's in the back of the field. But that was pretty impressive. Roxon was getting some, and Cooper held him off. Justin Cooper held him off for quite a bit, and gave him a fight. So that was encouraging to see. And like I said, Webb, he's not the fastest guy, he's not the most skilled guy, but he's the downest, dirtiest dog in that field. And if anybody's going to figure out how to beat that kid, I think it's him. Just as far as how cagey the dude is. So it's going to get real boring if he runs away with them all. That's going to suck to watch, but thank God the 250s are just insane.
Yeah, Brad, obviously we'll get your thoughts next, and then Jeff Crutcher afterwards. You want to give us some insight on the track as well, because it looked pretty brutal. Obviously they took the whoops out, but it was still pretty challenging. So Brad first, then you, Jeff, afterwards.
Yeah, I heard they sort of tamed the track down a little bit because they were expecting a fair amount of rain, and then I guess they covered it in tarps and pulled it off, and obviously there was some water lying around. You could see it sitting there in between the finish jump and sort of in between the lanes. But yeah, I mean, it looked pretty soft from the TV. You could see it righted up quite a lot, which I think sort of saved the racing. I think if they wouldn't have had that soft dirt, it would have been pretty basic and boring. But yeah, I mean, it made for some good races. It was not just chuck it down the rhythm section and sort of not have to worry about it. You did have to think. I mean, there's some cool shots you could see down the rhythm sections where just, yeah, the amount of ruts and these guys were just sending it in there and hooking triples. And yeah, I mean, it's impressive to watch. But yeah, like one of the things I noticed Jet was doing was sort of, he was off rhythm compared to everyone else. He was sort of jumping over the ruts, landing in like the areas where less people have been riding, and just little things like that. It might not necessarily be faster, but it saves energy. You haven't got to worry about lining the bike up for a rut in the air. Just the mental capacity that takes to try and get like sort of it spot on lap in, lap out it just wears on you throughout a main event. Whereas, yeah, if that's something you can sort of not forget about, but something that you can avoid in certain places by maybe doubling in and then going triple rather than triple double. It's just little things like that he's just so switched on about, and I think it just makes life so much easier for him. And some of the guys, they just hit the same line every lap in, lap out, lap in, lap out, and you just see it getting beat to shit. And like there was I'm not sure what corner it was, but it was after the little corner where Swole crashed in the heat race. The guys were just in that rut, lap in, lap out, and you could just see it just getting chewed up. It's like getting to points where they couldn't even double out of the corner, and it's like, fuck, I just like go round the rut. Like it's like guys have been doing it for so many years. But it just seems like they get so set in the line and just so in the groove. But to be that next level guy, that's the sort of things you need to look at. And you see it with a lot of veteran guys are really good at it. Like Anstey's super good at picking lines. He never follows. Once a line gets blown out, he always moves out of it. I don't know if it's a European thing that is adapted from over here, because I know his dad Merv is pretty keen on a cheeky inside the post line. But yeah, I think just little things like that just make Jet's life so much easier. But yeah, the track, just in general, I think they did the right thing. I think by missing the whoops out, it was a risk to take. It could have not paid off, but as it was, I think that little roller section that they put in worked quite well. So yeah, I mean, that's just what I've noticed on the telly. But obviously Jeff was there, so he might have thought it was shit. But yeah.
Sure. To that point, whenever I was out on the track, whenever I went out for track walk, I was amazed. The wettest part of the track was the start straight. And when I say wettest, I mean it was the deepest part. The corner after the finish line had the most standing water of everything that I saw on the track. But the rest of the course was absolutely money. Some of the transitions had some standing water, but honestly, I don't know which of you guys have been out on the track during track walk, but it may surprise folks how wet the surface of the course is before time or before free practice even starts during track walk. There's many obstacles that you can't even walk up because they're so slimy, and you have to go where the tough blocks are. And yesterday there was none of that. I mean, the course was dry. Where it was tarped, it was dry. Some of the transitions, sure, it held water, but for the most part, the track was great. Dude, I heard so much bullshit on Friday. They're canceling the races. They didn't get a permit to bring dirt in. The dirt's not good. The tarps are, got left in Arizona. It was just so much like rumors and crap that was going around. And, this whole thing about the 18 wheelers not being able to get into the top part of the exhibition hall where our pits were. And I'm just like, why is it that one little thing goes wrong? Like, we have an open air stadium and it rains on Friday. Why is it that, like, all of a sudden Feld doesn't know what they're doing? The AMA has never held a race before. No one has a clue. The races are getting canceled. It's so stupid. Just because the one in Oakland a couple of years ago happened, whenever it was raining before they could even, that was the year that they had like 10 inches of rain in 2 days. And they couldn't even get the dirt into the building. That wasn't the case. The course was amazing. The rhythms, no, they were not, they may not have been quite as gnarly or quite as steep, but we still had plenty of 3s and 5s, footers. And so, I mean, there was plenty of steep or challenging obstacles. There was good rhythms. The one thing that we didn't see, was more than one real on off. So whenever they have a lot of water come in, the on offs, they'll cup out the top of the off already, and instead of it being a perfectly flat table. So yesterday was actually a couple interesting rhythm lanes. And you guys talked about Jet taking these different lines. If they were regular tabletops that were flat on top, those would not have probably been even an option. But because they were cupped on top from the Dirtworks crew, it actually added more variety into the rhythm lanes, and that gave guys like Eli wasn't doing it. And dude, it's so funny because I'm on my guys all the time. Do not become married to a line. And they've started to make fun of me for saying, that's like my saying is, do not become married. And like Eli, last week in Daytona, after you cross the start line, and there was that quad in, step on, step off, triple, double, whatever it was, he kept taking a bad rhythm, and that's where he kept losing ground. The same exact thing happened yesterday. The section where they had that real tight S corner, where you're talking about this, the bikes getting down to the concrete, that rut was terrible. And then that left where Jet was making up his time, Eli never got that rhythm down. And that's where he was losing his time. And that's, it's so funny because like I can stand up in the filming section and see it, and it's so obvious. And I'm like, how does Eli Tomac not know to change his line and to change his rhythm? And I think that what we're seeing, and we've talked about, it's that changing of the guard. It's of guys coming in with a new style, because we're, Jet Lawrence and his era of rider, they are post Stewart, so they know how to minimize and they know how to scrub. They're post RC, they know how to train, and they're post Dungy, so they know how to be consistent. So now we're getting these kids that are coming up that are absolute weapons, that know how to manipulate a motorcycle, know how to train off of the bike, and then know how to roll the throttle forwards. And so I think that that's what we're starting to see, that even Eli doesn't quite have that adaptability anymore in his age.
Yeah, it's really fascinating insight, lads. It's a really great conversation to have. And obviously, as we sort of move on to the 250 class, start with you, Beaver. How good was Vial? Obviously, he's looking really good now, feeling comfortable and like he belongs. All that hard work with Marv's clearly paying off, and he's got that confidence and he's got that really good skill set on a range of surfaces, especially when there's no whoops, obviously. So, yeah, it's looking really good. And he's obviously mentioned how he's been doing a lot of work with Chase Sexton and obviously doing some training with Kitchen. So he's obviously just absorbing everything. He obviously leads the championship point race, which, you know, he's no stranger to leading championship battles like in his MX2 day. So he should handle that pressure. And once he gets those starts completely dialed, like they've been very good lately, it's pretty ominous for the rest of the field, isn't it, mate? And I guess he's definitely exceeding the expectations we all had heading in.
Oh yeah, Ian and Roger must have just been in hog heaven last night to get him the red plate his second year out. I mean, from Dallas to Daytona, that improvement, and then to do it again. And I thought that was pretty interesting. There was a carbon copy podium across the board from Daytona. That was pretty rad. But yeah, he's definitely on a hot one, and he's figured it out. I don't know if the whoops being out of there, I'm sure that helped him quite a bit. You know, had the whoops been in there, would that been a game changer for him? I don't know if he's quite there with the whoop game yet. I think we'll see in Indy. If his whoop game is killer in Indy and he's still on the box, then you got to think, hey man, that's pretty good for him. What is Pierce Brown and McAdoo,
McAdoo.
and then you got Pierce Brown, and then what is it? Hammerker's in there somewhere. I think Cody Schock and Deegan are tied in points, and then so it's down to like 13 points between Deegan and Hammerker and those guys all the way up. So it's still super tight, which is killer. But you know, Vial is just one tip over away from losing that red plate, and Pierce Brown's right there. You know, and Pierce is going the right way. He got a fourth this weekend. You know, so he's Mr. Consistency. And could you imagine if he won the title with a bunch of fifths and fourths? I mean, that'd be insane. Tim Ferry would be like, yeah, what? I won it with a bunch of twos, you know? But you know, I think Pierce's game's going to step up a little bit. And, but I don't know. I think Vial will keep kind of charging, you know. Deegan's the real $64,000 question, you know, to me. But yeah, I was stoked for Vial. I thought that was rad.
Yeah, I think, like I was saying about taking the different lines, like Vial wasn't just set in that one line. He was moving around the track. He was cutting inside, trying to take different rhythms. And yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's a European thing, but you watch a lot of the the guys that have been racing Supercross for a number of years at the test track, they're just like hitting that same line, lap in, lap out, like within about sort of 5 mil either side for like the whole off season. And it's, I mean, yeah, it's great for logging laps and things, but it's not great when you get into a race situation where the track is just constantly changing like that. And yeah, for someone like Vial who's come from GPs, he's still sort of in that mindset of not sticking to the same line every lap, which shows on a track like that. Obviously it was a bit of a shitter about Anstey and his bike sort of giving up on him. He was starting to make some good moves. Probably most likely would have ended up inside the top 5. Maybe held on to the points lead. I mean, fair play to him. He did his best to not just go out on one on the interview, which JT did. He held his tongue and was professional about the whole situation. So I think I would have probably threw in a few French words here and there if I was Max at that point. So credit to him for doing that. But yeah, I mean, what do you say about Deegan? Apart from it's just I can't. I'm just fully over it now. Just the attitude, like, mate, just get on with the racing. I'm fed up with him having to go at people when they've like literally done nothing wrong. Like, he's the one that's come flying in from the outside, and yeah, cool. Just basically chopped Seth's front wheel off, and they've both gone down. And then he's pushing him. I'm like, just get on with the racing, mate. You just look like a dick. It's yeah, I'm just not here for it. I mean, the way he rides, you can't fault it. He's rides with his heart, and he's clearly got loads and loads of talent. But just the way he handled himself when he's in sort of hot situations needs to be looked at. It's just not good. I mean, and it's cost him this weekend getting penalised. Two positions. Was it two positions he got penalised? So
Yeah.
it's like what, 4 points, maybe 5 points. He's just not doing himself any favors, and he's just, I just, yeah, I can't. I'm not here for it. I don't like that sort of behavior. I'm all for running it in on people and banging bars and trading paint and all that. But like the video I seen of him going up to the PC in the paddock and running his mouth, just yeah, not about that at all. Just especially when the guy's done nothing wrong. It's like, geez, go back and like watch the footage and just realize that you've just sawn his front wheel off, and then maybe reassess before going over, because eventually you're gonna end up with a he's gonna end up saying it's like a Western Pike, and he's just gonna knock his jaw straight into the fourth row. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure who in the 250 class is going to be that guy, but it's gonna come if he keeps doing it. It's just the way it is. People are just gonna get fed up with it, and yeah, he's just gonna end up getting laid out. But maybe it'll humble him a little bit, but we'll see. But in terms of the championship, he needs to turn it around. I think since that crash at Daytona, he just seems to be slightly off the ball a little bit. So I think he just needs to get out the start and have a clean race and get on the podium again, and sort of right the ship, because it's on a bit of a downward trend at the moment, and he's starting to lose touch with those front boys.
Yeah, on to you, Jeff Crutcher. Obviously, while we're on the Deegan topic, what's your take on it, and how would you respond to sort of angry riders and team members or whatever coming over to your tent? Obviously, it's pretty hostile, isn't it?
I encourage the chaos. I want it to be worse. I want there to be more fights in the pits. I want there to be more people that are mad at each other. I want people, cracking cans of Monster over each other's heads, because that is the kind of shit that is going to draw people into our sport. If we have good, clean, classic, fun racing, it's not going to do anything. Yeah, I mean, like as racers, we can all appreciate it, but like whenever the goal, and it's so transparent that Feld's their goal is to grow the sport, to make it larger, and that's so much of Supercross, motocross, super motocross, the television package, all factors combined together. We need to do whatever it takes to grow the sport. And I think that, I'm doing my part in my own way. And, these guys, I encourage them to act like clowns, to be honest with you. I mean, it's sure. Is it classy? No. Is it the gentleman's way of racing? No. But guys, lest we not forget, it's just dirt bikes. Like, we're just dirt bike racers. And like, there's all this like pressure that gets put on, or a lot of these opinions. I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but there's a lot of these opinions that I hear all the time where it's like, we've forgotten the fact that, like, dude, this is some redneck shit. Like, whether it's American rednecks, Euro rednecks, Australian rednecks, like, this is a blue collar sport, and we need more people acting like blue collar athletes. Not, and that's okay. A perfect example. NASCAR struggling so bad because NASCAR is trying to go corporate, but the whole basis of what the sport is built on is smuggling alcohol. They took cars that they could get away from the cops from and started racing them on the beach in Daytona. They were all alcohol smuggling cars. Motocross ain't too far different. And so let's embellish that. Like, let's really squeeze onto that and take that and stop trying to make it this. Let Formula One be Formula One. Let the drama and the politics and the persnickety, personalities and all that, like, high nose, pinky up bullshit. Let them have that over there, dude. That's not us. We're dirt bikers. Let's fight in the fucking pits, dude. I want to see more girls. I want to see more monster girls. I want to see more monster girls getting plowed by riders on and off the track. I want to see more chaos. I want to see more fights. Now, if they're coming, okay, you asked, like, how would I handle that? Dude, we already do that arena cross. I mean, this is part of the reason that my perception of this is so we'll say skewed towards the entertainment. I mean, like, dude, my shirt here, that's entertainment. Like, this is such a big part of it to me, is my understanding that this is so important. I want to see the entertainment factor built into what we do. We do this shit in arena cross every night. We'll have somebody, a kid that raced last night, made it into the 450 main on his 250F, Preston Taylor, a kid from Nebraska. Dude, Preston and I have literally gone round and round for years. And I told him at one point, you have two options: either apologize or you are going to make a mortal enemy out of me. For as long as I take racing motorcycles seriously, I'm just going to ruin your race. Like, I've made my money. I've got sponsors. You're dogfighting. I can ruin that. So, the point being is like, dude, I want it. I live for it. There's good content there. Think of the good old boy days in NASCAR, whenever the guys would, wreck each other and then run out on the track, throw their helmet into the other driver's car. Dude, I want more of that. So that's my take on it. I know it's kind of a hot take. I know a lot of people don't think that way, but we're trying to get clips. And let's be honest also too, we are now in a different age of sports. Look at Jake Paul, right? He's about to fight Mike Tyson. Okay. The guy is a professional troll on YouTube that wanted to learn how to box, and now it's going to become one of the biggest spectacles in sports since whenever Mayweather and McGregor got together. I mean, that's the type, because we're talking about one of the greatest of all time meets the new generation entertainer, troll, YouTuber. That's what Deegan is. Deegan is a YouTuber. I mean, it's like I talked to this kid at the skate park the other day. He recognized my t-shirt and he was like, "Hey bro, do you know Hayden Deegan?" And I was like, "I know who he is." He was like, "Yeah, he's my favorite YouTuber." He didn't say he's my dirt bike rider. He's my favorite YouTuber. Okay, well, okay, all right, Deegan, let's go throw some punches over at the Cowie tent, bro. Let's do this, because I want the kids at the skate park to go to the dirt bike shop and buy Thor hats. That's what I want.
Yeah, it's a really cool
Yeah,
perspective, mate, because obviously it changes the way people digest the content these days. They want short, sharp drama, and obviously that Jet Lawrence and Jason Anderson thing went off as well. But obviously I'll let you go first on this one, Brad, and then Jeff, you can obviously have a chat about your man Hammaker and how he dealt with the situation really well. Obviously he sort of used it as motivation to come out firing. So you start first, Brad, and then Jeff Beaver, you can carry on.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I'm here for the drama. Like, give me all the drama. Maybe it's just Deegan, just can't stick the little rider. Yeah, I don't know if it's yeah, do you know what? I think if it was anyone else, then I'd be like, yeah, go on, just like probably like lay into it. Maybe it's just because no one's giving it back to him. It all seems to be just him running his mouth. If someone maybe he did it to someone like I don't even know who's really gonna sort of step up and give it back to it. Maybe like one of the more privateer based guys, like I don't know, maybe someone like Cody Shark or. But even like he seems so nice on the podium, I don't think he's gonna do it. Just like, and then like all of Mitch's guys are so like corporate.
I think March
Like
guy.
yeah, someone like Marchbanks who's like 6 foot, just like he's sort of getting towards that sort of tail end of his 250 career, just like, what, I'm just gonna lay this kid out because he's doing my head in. But yeah, I do like it. I do. There is nothing wrong. There would be nothing. It wouldn't do the sport any harm if there was a bit more drama that you saw in the pits. But as we kind of saw, I don't really think the AMA want to show that. Like the whole broadcast, like when was the last time you saw a monster girl get railed by a YZ450? And it just didn't get mentioned. Like it was like you come round, just absolutely nailed her. It was like, oh my god, and then it was just like back to the racing. Let's just like forget like that didn't happen. Like she's not still led in the track KO'd. We'll just move this Super Motocross banner to the other side of her. So you can't see her on the camera, and we'll just carry on. Yeah, it's like you either like failed, obviously you're trying to like promote this as a entertainment sort of thing, like get as many views as possible. And then the AMA, obviously the sanctioning body, they just want the whole event to go off with as little hitches as possible. So it's kind of like you don't really get one without the other. So it's you either got to just really embrace the drama and double down, like, yeah, she just got Cooper Webb's just railed this monster girl, just click, 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 just let's just have it all, just all the drama, just nah, 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 nah. Or you've got to go completely the other way and it's got to be clean cut for everyone. But yeah, I mean, when the face of the sport is Jet Lawrence, and like he's so like pretty much says the right things these days, and like apologizing after he got into a little heated argument with Anderson. It's it's not really what you need if you want the drama. You need him to sort of be back in his rookie 250 days where he's like calling his brother his sister, and just like proper Aussie don't give a fuck what anyone thinks type mode is what you're gonna need back from him.
Yeah, I agree with Jeff and Brad are saying. We do need a little bit of a shit show going on. Feld is the promoter, and if you caught last night, they were showing highlights of everybody mobbing the field from Daytona. If it's an interesting image, it's going to go up, right? And that chick getting blasted by Webb, that's going to be all over. It's good raw clips. They're going to show it, and but at the end of the day, Feld's also heading towards the F1 model. There's no stopping that. I've had talks with internal people from Feld. That's the model they're going for. From a business decision, it's smart on their part, make more money. But we're not pinkies up people. We are blue collar. I'm an oil worker. If you pop off to me, I'm going to knock you in the mouth and drop you on your ass, and everybody I know is like that, and it's not pinkies up. Pinkies up is when we've knocked you flat on your ass. So it's where's the balance there, right? And so when Deegan's got a lot of duality to him, he is a nice kid when you talk to him. He's got manners, but he's also got fire in his belly. And I just don't think he's learned that when he loses his temper, that he can't throw Seth's bike on the ground. He even kind of pushed the track worker off his bike, and it's like, whoa, bro, hey, that's a little too far. You gotta chill on that stuff. And I'd bet Brian crawled up in his ass a little bit after that, and wouldn't be surprised if Bobby and those guys did too, because that's not a good look on TV, right? And so the kid's got some learning to do. He does a lot of things really well off the bike. He does a lot of things really well on the bike. But when you have these heated moments, I mean, look what Jet did a couple of weeks ago when he grabbed Anderson's helmet. They're both young. They're full of piss and vinegar, and they're going to make mistakes like that. But it's good for us as fans, because now you think Seth's going to move out of his way or not put him over a berm if the opportunity comes around. Seth's a good, nice kid, and good on him for keeping his mouth shut. But dang well he wanted to sock him right in the mouth. I don't think anybody wouldn't have wanted to. And why he went over there, go watch the tape first. Why he went over to the pits, and those guys, hey, get out of here. You see his mom even going, hey, what, stop, go away. And all the team guys, and Seth was kind of walking away. He's not the kind of guy who's going to get up in your face off the track, right? But he went out there and got third again, so the racing speaks for itself. Hayden is hurt, and I'd like to see him kind of reel that in a little bit of when he, like when he his bike took a crap in the outdoors last year and he just freaked out and threw his helmet and stuff. That kind of stuff, that's got to stop, just from his brand position, because it does get bad feedback from the fans. People are just going to jump on him and chew him up and call him spoiled and blah blah blah, and people forget, hey, yeah, he had every tool in the toolbox, but you could have every tool in the toolbox and still be a shitty mechanic, right? The kid's done the work. He's a ripper on the bike. He's just got to fine tune those times when he torques somebody up. You know, if somebody asks for it and he torques them up, I'm all for it, you know, give him hell. But, you know, if you cut a guy off and he eats crap and his bike's hung up in yours, and then, you know, you throw his bike off, it's just not a good look, right? So those kind of things need to be polished up a little bit. But if it's a thing where, like with Pike and Vince Freeze, and Vince Freeze is taking you out and Pike just beats the shit out of you on the track, hell yeah, kick his ass some more, you know, just beat his ass, you know, and if somebody's messing with Hayden and he kicked the shit out of somebody, cool. If Hayden's messing with somebody and they kick his ass, cool. You know, I mean, that's man shit, right? So we need that. We just need to kind of get rid of everybody's so stressed out and caught up in the moment that they lose their cool and not act right kind of behavior. You know, if somebody's messing with you and you whoop their ass, game on, man. I'll stand behind that person and defend them all day. But I don't know, like Jeff was saying, we do need the entertainment. I like the idea of more monster chicks. I'm down with that, you know, but we also need a little more professionalism in there and raise it up. And if we go too hillbilly, a lot of these big corporate sponsors are going to be like, yeah, you're not there yet, you know, and that's where Feld's going to be driving things towards, is getting the bigger sponsorships, more money, more prestige, bigger TV packages. So it's a fine line to dance. And I'd hate to be Prater and, you know, all those guys that have to do that dance, and Davey, you know, of having fun and keeping a dirt bike and knowing that you've got guys out there that are more prone to kick your ass than go write an essay and do a thesis, right? You know, we are blue collar guys. So they're herding cats a lot of the time, and it's not going to be a fun thing for those guys to figure out. At some point, I think the sport's headed to a higher level. How we get there and keep it fun without it doing what NASCAR's bombed in the last 20 years because they went too corporate, right? So hopefully they're paying attention to that and they don't end up on that level. But yeah, I don't know, rant's over on that one.
That's great insight, mate. Great discussion to have it. Obviously, with you, Jeff Crutcher, obviously you see it playing out, and we've seen so many incidents already this season, and so many incidents from Deeg. And obviously, me being an Aussie, it was interesting to see last year he was sort of doing that big Washougal flex after the moto, sort of creating that us versus them sort of mentality against the Aussies there. So it's interesting. And these guys are just maturing in front of the racing world. They're so young still, and you know, harnessing the aggression and the anger in the heat of the moment's nigh on impossible. So Deegan definitely sort of leans into that sort of brash and bravado, which he obviously has got a fair bit from his dad, but it's great entertainment nonetheless, mate. And I guess we'll be expecting Talvico and the lads from your team to be hitting the headlines pretty soon with you, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the wild thing about Jorgen is in arena cross, I mean, everybody saw him as a threat. And a lot of the Hicks and Alessi, not so much, but pretty much everybody else ran into him numerous times because they knew he doesn't have the indoor racecraft because he hasn't done it for year over year over year. I mean, it's like I could get on the bike and I could go and I could race General Tire Arena Cross. I'll make every main event. I'm going to fight for, you know, might snag a couple top fives. That's not off of talent. That's just off knowing how to race arena cross, which Jorgen didn't have, you know, and not to like, you know, gas myself up. It's just, you know, arena cross and indoor racing is such an acquired skill. So yeah, I mean, like I started with and talking about our progression, it's the same thing. I'm looking for, you know, race over race improvement and continuing to get better and always focus on the positives. There's always good things to look for, but yeah, dude, you know, hopefully I can't remember who the broadcast crew is for next weekend. I'll have to check in with those guys, but I'll make sure that I get them the information that they need to know about my riders coming into it, that they know, you know, hey, whenever our guy makes it in, I expect to see the same as most riders get, you know, whenever they make it their first one. You know, Jorgen will be the first Estonian racer to make it into a Supercross main event since Jussi Lansu I can't remember when Yus quit racing. I think that would have been around 2009 or so, 2010, somewhere in there. But yeah, it's been a pretty big drought for the Estonians for Supercross. So we're looking to close that. Obviously, it'll be the first one for the team, first main event for the team. Last night was our best LCQ finish to date. So, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest, dude, I'm a little bit of a crier whenever we do some big achievements, and I already know that when it happens, I'm just gonna be in fucking shambles. I'm going to be crying so much, dude. It's and the thing is it's a drought. We're in a drought. We're in a really big drought right now of getting those main events. Not we haven't even had one. We don't even know what it tastes like. And it's like we're gonna get our first bite, and it's coming soon. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I know that like all the work, not just of myself, but all of our financial and product partners that have stuck with us, for as long as they have, many of them I mean, shit, dude, I started our EVS partnership started, are you ready for this? In 1997. I have been with EVS since 1997. And the thing, I get all these kids that are like, hey, dude, how do I get sponsors? How do I get this? How do I get that? I'm like, you got 20 years, because that's how long it takes with some of these aftermarket companies to develop a relationship with them that pays off, and if you want capital out of somebody, dude, I mean, it's a slow burn. So, that is so exciting. Like knowing, dude, Jeff in 1997 at World Mini in Las Vegas wearing EVS RS6 knee braces now gets to take one of my athletes with the new EVS God damn it, I'm blowing the name of it. I'm so mad at myself. I forgot the name of the new knee brace, but point being, we're going to put that, my organization is going to put that. So that's like that tenure with EVS, for example. So it's that kind of stuff that I'm so excited for all of our partners and our sponsors, our friends, our family, everybody that's part of the team, and the riders themselves also, to be able to unlock these achievements. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm looking forward to, and I mean, I'm sure you guys listened to the Gypsy Tales episode with Lars Lindstrom, and I remember I was listening to that just like a sponge, and what Lars was talking about, it wasn't about legacy or having a dynasty or anything like that. It's just, okay, we're winning. Now let's figure out how to keep doing that. It's going to be the same thing for me. Once we get in, okay, now we got to figure out how to continue doing that. So that's my target in the near future.
Yeah, awesome, mate. We definitely wish you all the best and the riders. It's going to be fascinating keeping track of your progress, because it's really cool to see little teams and, doing all the work. And it's like a lot of it doesn't get coverage and it's behind the shadows. So we'll definitely have to get you on a separate podcast, mate, just to purely focus on the team as well. But obviously on to you, sure, Brad, now. And then Jeff Beaver, you can carry on afterwards. But any other sort of takeaways from the 250s? Obviously, VR just such a masterclass. We got some stats here from Paul Piercy as well. Obviously, first rider to win 2 main events this season. Obviously, he led 17 of the laps, and he's now led 30% of the total main event laps in that class this year with 24. So got the fastest lap time. And obviously McAdoo and Ants were the top 3 there. Best average lap time with Vial, Hammaker, McAdoo, and then most consistent lap times, Hammaker, McAdoo, and Deegan. So Brad, anything you'd like to focus on? Obviously it was a disaster for Anstey, but anything else you'd like to chat about from the 250s?
Yeah, I think we just got to give a mention to Cody Schock. I mean, winning the heat race sort of comfortably as well. I mean, rode solid out front to sort of take his first heat win. He's still sitting 5th in points. Yeah, just, I mean, like, credit where credit's due, and that obviously running for the Club MX Yamaha team, and he's really holding the torch for that team at the moment. I mean, Garrett had some solid rides on the West Coast, but not really, I think, what a lot of people were expecting, including himself. Obviously Martin crushing out at round 1, and sort of came back at Daytona, was kind of off the bubble a little bit, and then brought it back for a solid 5th this weekend. But yeah, overall, I mean, Cody Schock's took a bit of a step up, I think, this year, and I think yeah, he should be proud of that. I mean, it's not an easy class by any means. So I think to be sitting 5th in points after this many rounds, and yeah, getting a first heat win. Yeah, congrats. I think he's exceeded certainly my expectations and probably a lot of other people's.
Yeah, that guy's coming up, and one of my thoughts is at what point does Yamaha look at Club MX and what they're doing and start kicking in more factory support? And have they already started doing that and they're not saying anything? So it's kind of a neat time to be a rider on Club, because I think they're right on the cusp with the sport getting bigger and other manufacturers come in. Does Yamaha double down and have two full-on factory efforts with Star and Club? Will we start seeing that kind of stuff? So kind of rad that, guys like Marchbanks and even Phil leading laps, and look at Jeremy Martin last night coming out and just railing and doing killer at the beginning of the race, and just all the things that Mike and the guys are doing over there with their athletes. Does this mean we're going to get like two satellite factory teams, full factory efforts, or however they word that now? Does Honda bring back a Geico type thing, or do they get back in there with Ziggy and do, does Phoenix Racing Honda become a full factory effort alongside HRC? It's kind of neat, exciting times, I think, and I haven't really heard anybody talk about that, and I've been thinking about that the last couple of weeks. So those are kind of interesting things. And another thing, Jalik Swoll, I think he's right on the edge of getting on the podium and putting that Triumph on the box. I mean, if he quit crashing, I think he's got the speed, and I think that says something about that bike. Right out the gate, the first couple races, it's been pretty damn competitive. I'm really, really hoping that Indy, they kind of right the ship, and I think he's due to get on the box, and nobody's really kind of pegged him for that yet. Really like to see that kid get a podium and put the Triumph on the box for the first time, and knowing that we won't hear Ricky stop talking about it for like 6 months. He's going to go off and make all our eardrums bleed about how rad that Triumph is, but rightfully so. He put a lot of time and effort into it, and Stanton, those guys deserve a lot of credit. But it's just a lot of cool shit going on right now, and those are kind of a couple of the little things I'm seeing out there. And Seth, I think if Seth works on his starts a little bit right at the end of the races, man, he is on McAdoo's heels. If he has another good weekend at Indy, if he can get out that gate a little bit better, does he bump it up his position and get a win? I think he's right there. He's hungry. It's a contract year for Seth, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a win out of him this season.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's been a great conversation and podcast, this one, just getting all sort of different opinions on various things. It's been really interesting, and the fans should hopefully really enjoy it. And before we let you go, lads, obviously just final thoughts from each one of you. What's the week look like ahead, and what's on the plans with each one? So I'll start with you, Jeff Crutcher, and then work with Brad, then Beaver.
Sure. Well, at the moment here, let me stick my head out my window here. I'm at the house of the Lord, aka Bucky's. I'm on my way up right now to Indianapolis. So my dad actually came down to the races this weekend in Birmingham. He brought his motor home, and he's got a diesel pusher. It's older. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like my dad's rolling some $500,000 Prevost or something. But the thing about the diesel is whether the trailer's hooked up to it or not, it gets 9 miles to the gallon. My pickup that I use to tow, the road show around, I'm getting 22. With it though, I'm getting about 11. So the reason I bring that up is, I'm just cruising. I got no trailer attached to me right now. So as soon as we get off, I'm going back into Bucky's, and I'm gonna get some more cookies for the road. Not that retirement from racing lifestyle is awesome, but that's what we got going on right now. The boys are back in Oklahoma. Jorgen is currently flying out to California to do some suspension testing with Enzo. His mechanic, Merrick, has been. So we started the guys with Race Tech. I have a Race Tech deal. The guys, whenever they came in, we started them on Race Tech, and Race Tech's so cool about it, dude. They just want to support me. And so Chris at Race Tech worked this deal out and said, hey, we'll get you guys launched. If they like it, that's awesome. We'll continue with them. If not, then then, you know, we're happy to have helped and happy to have helped you. And they all three guys are so totally different. But so Jorgen's going out to California. He's going to test with Enzo. Tyler's back in Oklahoma at Raynard Raceway, where he's doing his training. And then Dawson is actually staying here in Alabama to get more laps logged. There's a Supercross track here in Alabama. He doesn't need to go back to Florida to train, so he's just staying here. Indianapolis is only 6.5 hours from Birmingham. So we're cruising up. I'm gonna be in Indy all week. I got a downtown loft Airbnb. Dude, Airbnbs are so sick. If you rent them Monday through Friday, they're so cheap. I got a full week in this badass new loft for $400 for the full week. So I'm gonna have a nice week in Indy. Pops will be there with the motorhome. We're gonna be chilling. Got to do bike work and trailer work on Wednesday. Then set up the pit on Thursday. Fridays, sound test and tech inspection and check in, and then it's race day on Saturday. So that's what my work week looks like. But right now it's kind of an off day.
Yes, sounds slightly busier than my week. I'll just be back on the tools Monday through Friday. I'm not working too far away from the MX Vice HQ, so might just chuck my face in there, see if James is still alive. And see if I can grab a couple cases of oil for the Yami. And then we are got hopefully a 2-day, a little schoolboy meeting near me, about 45 minutes up the road, a 2-day meeting, so a good chance to do some good testing, because everyone knows you do learn more racing than you do going practicing. So yeah, that should be pretty good. Hopefully, I think we're expecting a little bit of rain Tuesday, but apart from that, just cloud. So hopefully it will run, because the season's fast approaching over this side of the pond, and I've been out about twice, so it's not ideal, but everyone's in the same boat, I suppose. So there is that. But hopefully I'll be out in the hostile as well. The hostile handwear gear next weekend. So all you Aussie boys listening to this will be pumped about that. And anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's a pretty sick looking gear. So stay tuned on the MX Vice website for that review, as well as a few other things that hopefully I can get sort of done this week. Is some Polysport have sent out some of their unbreakable levers, which is look pretty sick. So yeah, testing those as well as the FMF 4.1 system. So yeah, there's lots going on. The caravan looks like a UPS drop site at the moment, just full up with boxes for stuff to test. And the weather's just not playing ball at the moment, but hopefully it's on the turn and we can sort of start getting through some of these boxes, because the missus wants the caravan back.
Yeah, I'm just making America great again over here in the oil refinery. Trying to make that diesel a little cheaper for Jeff, so he can tow that hauler at 9 miles a gallon. We're trying to get those prices down for you, Bubba. But just kicking ass doing that. I've got a ton of editing to do. You know, Feld has certain regulations on as we film when we can release race footage. So there's kind of a little bit of an embargo on the when we can release footage from the heats and the main, which is perfectly fine. You know, that's part of the deal, and we all agree to it. So I have a bunch of footage from Jacob that I've got to edit up this week and get out, and then he's doing edits that he'll send to me. So we got a lot of stuff there. Doing some stuff. Ping and Bruce got a lot of stuff going on. Ping's on his executive ski chalet trip in Montana right now with the family, so good for him. It's always good when he gets out and goes and spends time with the family, because he comes back all fired up and full of piss and vinegar. So we'll have some good stuff, and some old guy new bikes, I think, episodes coming out. So we got a lot of features coming out. We're just steadily cranking. But hey, this one's for Jeff. If you're sitting at Buc-ee's, dude, do me a favor. I'll Venmo you some money. Let's get some crack pellets for Ed and Brad. Get them some Beaver nuggets. You know, Buc-ee's is my spot. I walk in there and I'm like, man, this place, my last name is Beaver, so that place is just, I walk in there and this place is freaking rad. get him a couple bags of Beaver nuggets and send them over there, and I'll kick you some cash, dude. Just message me after this, and I'll Venmo you some money. Get these guys some Beaver nuggets and get them hooked on some of that Texas goodness, man. Because if you guys have never had Beaver nuggets, everybody talks about all them damn Tim Tams, and they're good, but y'all need to try some Beaver nuggets out of Texas. They'll crack you out, and you'll be ordering them online and paying the retarded shipping fees over to Australia and England. But they are so good. So hopefully we can work something out and get you hooked on that golden dope. But yeah, just working, and I can't wait for Seattle. And hey, Jeff, are you guys racing only East, or are you guys do any West rounds?
We are doing East in 250, and then St. Louis will be doing West, and then we'll close in the 450 class, and then in Denver we'll close the season out in the 450 class there. But no Seattle.
All right, well, Whiskey Throttle's gonna have to come see you in Denver. I'll be at Denver, so we'll come by and see your guys, see your team, do a little edit with you, and carry on from this conversation. So it'd be cool to meet you. But yeah, let's get him some crack pellets, bud.
Sure, you got it.
Right.
Awesome, lads. We look forward to it. It's been a cracking podcast, and thank you everyone for joining us as well. And thank you guys too, and obviously thank the sponsors in Fly Racing, Fox, Scott, Whole Shot Motorhomes, AS3 Performance, KTM UK, Kawasaki UK, and of course Even Strokes for all their incredible support, as without them none of this would be possible. All right, thanks again, lads. All the best, and we look forward to catching up soon.
Yeah, buddy.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.